Hi everybody, this is Todd Grantham with the Forex Nitty Gritty. Today I wanted to take a look at the Euro US dollar and see what's happening with it on a 5-minute chart and look for a possible trade setup. As you can see here, we're looking at the 5-minute chart of the Euro US dollar, and overall we have a nice uptrend. Currently, we're pulling back towards an area of old support, old resistance, and we're going to look to see if we can find a bounce up off of this area. Now, if you'll recall, with the simple trading method, all we would be looking for is a move above the high of the previous 3 candles. So I'm going to put a line right there, and you can see that we've got 3 candles here. I'm going to circle 1, 2, and 3. And we don't count this current candle that's being created here. Now, currently, we're seeing that it's at 141.03. It's got to move up to 141.13, really, in order to get into this as a trade position. Now, if we were to get into there at this point, we'd put our stop right below the previous low here. And so we'd have our stop somewhere around, write this down, stop is going to be right around 140.86. Go out to the 5th digit here. Our entry is going to be, put it up here, entry of 1.41134. Now, to know what our risk is, we simply take the difference between the two, which comes to about 29.298. So 29.8 pips is what we're looking at. So about 30 pips of stop. Now, remember, we take 1/2 of that to know when we move our stop to break even. So 15 is going to be our adjustment here to break even. Now, that is going to be 15 pips above our entry price here. So if we add 15 pips to that, we're going to get 1.41284. So all we have to do now is put our line on here, and I'm going to draw our line at about 141.28. So if we go to 41.28, we're going to be right about there. When the price moves up and gets to, let me change my color to green to make it look like it's going up here. When this moves up to this level here, that's where we're going to enter. When it moves up to here, this is where we're going to move our stop to break even. And here, of course, is our stop, our initial stop, where we're going to place it in case it moves down and we need to get out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this and we'll just kind of watch it and see. Now remember, not all setups work as if we are going to make money with them. Some of the setups, like we have here, are simply put in place and we watch and wait for it to occur. Now the nice thing about this, and one of the reasons why this simple trading method is so simple, is because we can set this up really on any time frame. And so if, for example, we were looking at a 4-hour chart, we can see that there's no current setups right now within the subtrend, but back in this area here, we could have been putting our lines in and looking for opportunities to trade that as it begins to meet those requirements and those areas that we're setting up. So all we're going to do is watch this. If it happens and we get into it, great. If not, oh well, we'll wait for the next setup. So we'll be back in a few minutes and just kind of watch and see what happens. Alright, so we're back and we see what's happening here. In fact, we just had some news come out on the Chicago PMI, which the number that was anticipated was going to be 42.1 and it came out at 34.9. So quite a bit different than what the forecast was. But we can see what happened to this. We can see that the candle here has dropped significantly. Now, one of the nice things here, again, because we're trading this simple trading method, is we are going to make adjustments to our trades. Now what we can do is we can set this up where we can look, again, we're going to look to enter in as it moves above the high of the previous three candles. So here we can look and adjust this down. Now our previous three candles, 1, 2, 3, is going to be at 41.08. We can look at placing our stop loss is going to be below the most recent lows, which in this case we could probably go all the way even down to this level here once we enter into that. And if we get a move up and we find that this most recent candle right now is the low, we can adjust our stop up to that. So we can recalculate this now and we can say, okay, well if my entry point now is at 1.4108, we'll just go to 4 digits, and my stop is at 1.4065. We can calculate this for our stop loss. So we've got an initial stop here of 43 pips. So 1/2 that is going to be about 22 pips. And that's 21.5, but we'll go to 22. And so what we can do is we can adjust our stop up now 22 pips. So if I add 22 pips onto my entry, I'm going to get the level where I'm going to adjust it to break even. So that would be 1.4130. So our adjustment point in this is, let's go back and redo this because I did it with the full here. No, I did it right, 22. So 30 is where our initial stop is going to be made. So 22 pips onto our entry is 141.30, and so I'm just going to move this up actually just a little bit here. So we're going to be right in this area where our entry or our adjustment would be. Again, in this case here, if we looked at going ahead with this setup here, we've got our entry, we've got our initial stop, and we got our adjustment area where we're going to adjust this to break even. And again, that happens when it moves 1/2 the initial risk. So again, we may find that this is not something that's going to happen. We may find that all of a sudden it's breaking really below our support areas here, and no longer are we trending up. And at that point, we look for opportunities to trade it to the downside. So we'll pause this and give it another couple of minutes and just see what happens. Alright, so let's take a look at what's happening with our most recent setup here. Now, we have to change a couple of things because we're just getting a new candle here. And we got a, so there's the first candle, there's number 1, there's number 2, and this red one here is number 3 now. And so we're going to adjust our entry point to moving down here above the high of those most recent ones. And so what we'll do is we will put our entry at about 140.98 is where the line is, so about 141. If we get a move up above 141, that's where we're going to enter into this. We're going to put our stop right below that at about probably about 140.70. And so if we recalculate this, we can see that our entry is going to be at 1.4100. Our initial stop is 1.4070. So we've got a 30 pip risk. We take half of that. It's going to be 15 pips. We're going to add it to this to get the area where we're adjusting, 1.4115, and that's going to put us right here. Let's move this down to 141.15, so right there. So now we've got a setup, and we'll watch and see if this comes into play and actually sets us up here. So hang on, and we'll be back in just a moment. Alright, so here we are. It's about 10 or 15 minutes later, and you can see what happened. We had our price move up to through our entry, and now is currently just above our break-even stop adjustment. So we're going to take our initial stop here at this point, and we're simply going to move it up to this here. And so I'm going to delete that, and this right now is going to be our stop. Now at this point, you have a little bit of discretion as far as what you want to do. If we would have gotten into 10 mini lots on this, or 2 mini lots, or whatever number that we would be trading, at this point we could say it's getting close to a resistance area, or it's moved up a certain amount. I'm going to close out of half of my positions. So I'm going to sell, if I have 2, I'm going to sell 1, and then I'm going to let the other one continue to move up as the price moves. Now once I do that, every time this thing moves up a little bit, I can simply adjust the stop loss up to take into consideration that extended move higher. And so every new candle, I can adjust it up. I can see if I think it needs to move higher or lower. In this case, we're guaranteed that 15 pips on at least one lot. And then this second position, the second one here, worst case we get out at break even. Now we're in this free trade scenario here. So I'm going to pause this for another minute or two and just see what happens and see if we want to make any type of adjustment, and then we'll wrap it up. Alright, so I think we're going to wrap it up here and let you guys kind of follow this 5-minute chart of the euro dollar, but you can see it's moving up. What I would do at this point is I would move my next target area here to about 15 pips above here, so at 51.30, so right in here. If I get it hit right here, I'm going to probably adjust my stop up. So remember, we adjusted it once, our initial stop to break even, and we're at break even now. So once it moves up another 15 pips here, I'm going to move my stop up to this level to where I'll lock in 15 pips of profit if it decides to pull back, because that's kind of a resistance area. I don't want to, let it run up too much, but I want to see if it'll run up to this, and then if it does break through there, then great. If not, then I can lock in that 15 pips profit. So keep an eye on this, and everybody have a fantastic trading day. And if you have any questions, please post comments below the video here, and I'll get your questions answered as soon as possible. Thanks.